Thank you so much for tuning into LiveWire. You know, today's show is going to be really interesting because we have a film town. I couldn't really say that years in the past, but it is truly an amazing town. International Film Festival, where we also have International Film Awards, and it's a kind of a really fantastic event. So I want you to stay tuned for LiveWire right after this important message. Hi, I'm Ray Tanner, and with me somewhere in the ether here is Mr. Martin Anaya and hopefully Vincent D. Miles. Hey, Marty, how are you?
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much.
We'll try to bring Vince in here, but he's got the, I think he's not on the Comcast internet, you know what I mean? But,
I understand that.
Yes.
Hi, Vincent, how are you? Wave, can you wave? No, he's frozen.
Oh, he's frozen. All right. We're going to bring him back. We'll bring him back later, Ray.
Okay. Pop him off there. All right. Well, you know, I was saying it because I'm really amazed that we have the whole spectrum of a film community here and have for a long time. I really didn't understand how wide and crazy and good the structure is. We have in Sacramento International Film Festival, which you have directed marvelously for years. The Sacramento Film Awards, which is coming right up, right?
Yeah, it's next week on the 13th.
Next week, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But then there's Access Sacramento has its famous program where it's called A Place Called Sacramento, where I don't know anything about making films, but I could actually work on one by going down and taking part in it. And that's the whole spectrum from participation to watching the greatest from international sources. And you're the director of two of those.
Well, and know a little bit of something about the first one or the one that you mentioned.
I know you found it.
Sacramento. That was something that Ron Cooper and I had created for Access Sacramento many moons ago, over 20 years ago now.
I know. Consider how many films are
continues for Access to this day. And Vince, dare I say it, is also the director of CineSoul. So I don't know when we might be able to get him back with a better connection, but so yeah, from humble beginnings, it has grown into quite a community and quite a bit of stuff going on. That's for sure.
And there's an award system that we're just going to talk about in a few minutes. But in that award system, you're awarding a film historian. You're awarding Don Spinella, who is the Sacramento Screenwriters Association.
Yeah, and no stranger to Access Sacramento.
You know, people wonder when at the end of a film, all these names come floating down and they continue to go on. People get tired. Some people walk out, but they really know that all of those names were associated with making that film. They don't understand. They think, what? Why can't it take 5 people, 6 people, but not a 25 or 100?
Yeah, you know, today it's even more than that. I mean, sometimes you look at the end credits of a movie, and it's like literally a cast of thousands. I mean, sometimes, especially with these big tentpole movies that require intense special effects, I mean, you literally will see hundreds and hundreds of names, if not over 1,000 names, in order to make a single movie. And a lot of that has to do with the behind the scenes, the special effects, all the different technical roles that go into making movies now. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
That is an amazing thing. So with to give awards to people who are part of the system here that is now creating films, I saw some of the films that even the training film process, A Place Called Sacramento, put on, and I've watched them over the last 10 or 15 years that it's been going, and they really look great. The films look fabulous.
Here's what's funny. So, rewinding back 20 years, right? We take it back to the beginning. And when I say the beginning, I don't mean the beginning of film, but in terms of building a community in Sacramento, when the original guy that ran the Sacramento Film Festival, a guy named Ken Knoll, okay, and he eventually moved back to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where he was from, but he started in 1995. And in about 98, he bequeathed the film festival to Access Sacramento. And at the time, I was working as the promotions coordinator under Ron Cooper. And so we had to scratch our heads, what are we going to do with this? Well, one of the things that we knew is that we needed to have local films in order to try to incubate a local film community. That it would be one thing to bring films from all around the world, and certainly we did that, and we continue to do that to this day. But as far as the local community is concerned, we wanted to honor that as well. Well, what we found quickly is that there were a lot of artists, but most of them were working in the industry in some capacity, and they weren't making the individual, what you would call indie films, and certainly not on the level that we have now in any stretch of the imagination. In fact, we very quickly ran out of those movies and those filmmakers, after about the first year. So eventually what happened, I went to Ron and I just told him, he was saying, where's all the local filmmakers? And I said, well, look, there's people making local TV. There are writers. We knew that. There were a bunch of writers in Sacramento, and I belonged at the time to an organization called Writers Block North, which was a screenwriting group. So what the idea was with Place Called Sacramento was, let's take the two and put them together. Like, let's get your peanut butter and my chocolate and make a peanut butter cup, right? And so we paired the writers up with some of the people that we knew were working in the industry, and that's what gave rise to what was at that time the kind of fledgling local community. And now if you fast forward all these years later, that we've, for the past 15 years, have had, believe it or not, a Sacramento Film Awards program. This is not only honoring the films that have come into our film festival, the Sacramento Film Festival, but it's also honoring filmmakers in the wider community. And that's only possible because we do have now so many different people making movies that can see it as a vocation, that can possibly see it as something that could be something that people would want to watch, and that there are venues to watch it in. So that's a long way, from such humble beginnings.
It is a long way, and it's quite wonderful. And the award system that you've set up and have been running for a while is important because it does point out the people who have began with all that beginnings and really have carried forward the development of the community.
Yeah, well, I can go on and on. I'll just tell you one little anecdote, and I've said this before, but for those who may not have heard it, I remember when we were first doing the then was dubbed the Festival of Cinema, and we were showing some of the early local films. We were like, is this going to even work? Are people going to take this seriously? I remember it was a film by a guy named Ryan McKinney. And that was the first one that was at the time. Now we call them films, but they were shot on mini DV tape. If anybody remembers mini DV.
Yes.
At the time, it was like this eye-opening, mind-blowing, expanding, new technology. And in essence, he shot this film on a mini DV format that was called Memorial. That was the name of the movie. And I remember we showed this film as part of the Place Called Sacramento and part of the film festival 3 weeks after 9/11. It was the year 2001. It was 3 weeks after 9/11. We didn't even know if we were going to get an audience to show up because remember, people were freaked out that there might be more terrorist attacks. Nobody knew what to expect. Well, not only did we have a packed audience and a packed house, but when this movie came on and it was about it was basically loosely about a gentleman who had gone to the Vietnam War Memorial and met a guy, and I won't tell you about all what happened because I'd love you to see the movie sometime. Maybe it'll get played on Access Sacramento. But the point is that this one of the characters has this I love New York, I heart New York hat, right? and it was like you could have heard a pin drop. And it was a moment of confluence between the art of cinema, where you're actually looking at something that was made on a local level by a local filmmaker, but that you lost yourself in the movie. You weren't thinking of it as like, oh, it's some little goofy thing. You just completely lost yourself in the movie. And then, to think about the what they were talking about, what the movie was about, and how that resonated with people at the time at this, like I said, 3 weeks after 9/11. Are we going to go to war? What's going to happen? I mean, these were all these apprehensions that people had. And then you see this guy show up and he's got this I Heart New York hat on. I mean, literally, I don't know about the other people, but tears just started streaming down my face, Ray. And that was the moment at which I realized, hey, man, I think we're on to something here with this local film community.
Yeah, well, you were right. You were right. Now, the film awards this year, can you tell me about the people who are receiving them?
Yeah, so, again, so with the Sacramento Film Awards, each year for the past 15 years, we've been expanding this program. And again, as there have been more filmmakers, not just in the film festival, but regionally and beyond what we show, right? Because there are a lot of people that are making movies that, for whatever reason, they may not, land in the film festival. We want to acknowledge those folks. This year, we're doing something interesting. We have an award that we call the Local Vanguard Award. And that's an award that's given out to a person who has really demonstrated a commitment to supporting the local cinema and content creation, beyond even movies, but a lot of different stuff now. But this whole idea of somebody that's really supported this community. So this year, we have not one, not two, but three recipients of the Vanguard Award. Two of them, we would normally only have done one, and that one that we were going to give this year was to a gentleman named Matthias Bombal. And I don't know do you know Matthias?
I do. Yeah, so, wonderful.
Film historian. Amazing film historian, right? I knew him, of course, as the guy who, when I was a kid, and of course, I came up in the 80s. I was a teenager in the 80s. I would go to the Crest, and here's this guy in, a full penguin suit, doing the full thing like we were in the 40s, doing all these amazing presentations up on the big stage at the Crest. And I felt like I was at a time capsule, getting to see what movies were like and what the presentation of movies were like in the 40s and the golden age of cinema. This is something that a kid growing up in the 80s would never have otherwise gotten to see if it weren't for a guy like Matthias Bombal. And not only that, but he was also instrumental in the resurrection of the Crest and the rehabilitation of the Crest, so that it is still a beautiful movie palace that we can go and enjoy to this day. I mean, albeit notwithstanding the current COVID situation. So that was the guy that we were originally going to honor, was Matthias, and we're still going to honor him. But two other people prompted us to say, what, we've got to do it this year. They've always been on our tickler file, so to speak. But one of them is Beverly Lewis, the film commissioner of Placer, Lake Tahoe, who has just done an amazing job for 22 plus years. And the other one, as you can see with the graphic there, is Gary Martin, your own Gary Martin at Access Sacramento. And both of these wonderful people were prompted by the fact that both of them announced that they were retiring. So we're not going to let them get away without really acknowledging the amazing support that they have been to this local film community.
Good job. Yes, absolutely, both of them. And I'm really pleased about Beverly Lewis, because my wife has worked with her, and she knows every bit of ground that her area that she works in, and who owns it, and how you can do film on it or maybe not. And it's an amazing story that she had to tell.
I talked to her today. And I was just, we were just going to go over a few details. We ended up talking for an hour. I mean, she's just like a fountain of knowledge. And hopefully at this awards show, we'll get just a little flavor for some of that. Good. Anybody else receiving an award? Well, again, like I said, with Gary Martin, I mean, what can be said? I mean, the guy has been a steward of Access Sacramento. And like I told him when I told him what we had planned, You know, it's not an easy thing to manage an organization like Access Sacramento with so many responsibilities and being a support structure for people who are just dipping their toe into the water of content creation. That's not an easy thing, because I run a community media center as well. And I can tell you from experience, it's no easy thing to do. So somebody that can do that, really what you're doing is you're not only setting it up for people who can exercise their own voice in the First Amendment, way of things, which,
Yep.
by the way, not for nothing, but today as we talk, we saw what's happening down at the Capitol. I think if more people were more involved in their democracy more directly, and through medium like what we're doing here, through mediums
Yes.
like Access Sacramento, there might be less desire or compunction upon people to want to do these kinds of goofy things like what we're seeing happening at the Capitol today. So it's not just for that reason, but it's also for the fact that he has, and Access Sacramento has, through the place called Sacramento, and just through being there, actually actively supported the filmmaking community by giving people the tools and the training in order to do that. So for that reason, Gary, Beverly, and Matthias, there are some other categories as well, and I can certainly talk to you about those, but those three are going to be our kind of our headliners.
Brilliant. I like it. Also, I have heard from the studio. You actually have a studio, believe it or not. That Vincent D. Miles, who is the head of
Soul,
Cinesol, is with us.
Hey,
Hello.
Here, Vince.
Ooh,
hey,
yes, there he is.
hey, Marty, how you guys doing? There you go.
Man, we're you know what?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're just
We're
trying to
fine.
brother.
Good to see you.
So
Hey.
Vince, I know we're having connection difficulties there, but
Great to
Vince,
see you too, Ray. Marty,
Vince,
always a pleasure to see you.
Vince,
Yeah,
question.
Ray.
Can you tell us a little bit about Cinesol? All right, so he's getting a lag there, Ray, but
Yeah. Well, we want to know history. I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll be. I took the reins from a wonderful young lady by the name of Nicole Maddox, who is just a wonderful young lady, and she carried that. I guess I say carried the pail of water for a while, and then decided to move on to other things, and so my brother from another mother, Mr. Marty, and I approached me about taking the helm from there. So fast forward, here I am. It's been great. I love doing it. Yeah, getting an opportunity to work with filmmakers in general, working with and support Black filmmaking here in Sacramento, here in my own town. It's an honor and a blessing. And when I say Black filmmaking, it's for everybody. I mean, I don't mean just Black people. I mean everybody. Black filmmaking is for everyone.
Right.
And to be shared. That's the beauty about art. Art is to me to be shared among all of us, to share each of our cultures and things of that sort. But to be able to do it here on a local level, thinkable, actable, that whole thing. It's just I've encountered with filmmakers from all over the world. We're here in Sacramento, but believe it or not, I get about, I'd say in the last 2 years, I'd say 45% of my submissions have come all the way from South Africa. I met a South African filmmaker last month and was telling him, hey, you'd be surprised. You got a lot of your people from your own place that are submitting films here in our Cinesol Film Festival here in Sacramento. And the talent, another thing what I've discussed with Marty, the talent level has actually really increased, which I've been really impressed with. I mean, it was really hard to really choose what films that I thought would make the cut and which ones wouldn't, just because of the talent. And I try to really, each film that comes across my desk, as we want to call it, I try to give it its due notice, because it's important to me as a filmmaker myself, as an actor, is to make sure they get acknowledged, because we all know this is a labor of love, and people want to be acknowledged the right way. And I don't just blow it off like, okay, whatever. I actually do put my heart and soul into it. I guess what I'm getting at when it comes to screening these different films. That's why they call it Cinesoul, baby. All about touching the soul.
All right, Vinny, I want you to come on when your festival is coming up, and we'll have a whole half an hour together.
I'm looking forward to watching that show.
Yep.
That sounds awesome.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Just so you know, real quick too, Ray. Marty's aware of this. We have we're doing some work with the Crocker Art Museum, so we got something coming down the pipes that I think you're gonna really like it once you put it all together.
Bravo. Well, thank you, sir. Thanks so much. And I was going to ask also Marty about the Sacramento Screenwriters Association and some of the other organizations, Cine Latina, NorCal All Stars. I don't know anything about them.
So, I mean, it all really goes under the header of California Film Foundation. So if you go to the website, californiafilm.net,
mm-hmm.
What we're trying to do with the Film Foundation, and what we've done, I think dutifully for the past 27 years now, again since 1993, is to be a conduit to professional filmmaking. So let's say, for example, I'm an actor, right? And I want to become a professional actor, and I want to do it at the professional level. As it relates to stage, I know people are going to go see you, and they're going to go see some other folks in town. They might come up through the B Street. But as it relates specifically to film acting, to the extent that we can specialize, what we do is we try to give them access to tools and to education and to resources. So if you look at things like the screenwriting group and some of the things that you mentioned, these are all just kind of like branches of the same tree. The basic tree is filmmaking, is the California Film Foundation, but the branches would have to do with, like I said, the writers group or the actors group. Not for nothing, but something that was Vince's idea, and people will probably know that for many years our actors group was run by the wonderful late great Charlie Holiday. Now, Charlie Holiday was never really a stage actor. I'm sure he's been in many stage plays, but he was primarily a film and TV actor. And so he taught acting for the camera. He taught acting for the medium of film and television, and he had a lot of specific information, tips, strategies that helped actors in that regard. With Charlie's passing, we were just all crestfallen. We didn't know how we were going to continue with the program. But since then, I am so honored and so happy to say that we've got now a wonderful, wonderful working actor that's been in a million movies. You've seen him all over the place. You paid money to see his movies. Jeffrey Weissman is now running our acting program.
That's great.
And unless I'm remiss, I got to say this because this was Vince's idea, and you're getting the juice right here first before anybody. This year's Sacramento Film Awards, with the help of Jeffrey and with the help of Vince, and it was Vince's idea. So I know he's gotten off the call now, but it was Vince's idea. This year's Sacramento Film Awards, that's happening next Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m., is being redubbed the Charlies in honor of Charlie Holiday.
Oh,
so just
my.
Academy Award, you get the Oscar. Well, if you get the Sacramento Film Award, you're going to get the Charlie Awards. So again, that's next Saturday, or Wednesday. My whole life revolves around Saturdays. Next Wednesday, 13th, 7:30 p.m. And you can attend for free. It is a virtual event. Somebody told me, be safe. Yeah, we're all going to be safe. It's virtual, just like we're doing right now. CaliforniaFilm.net. That's the website. Or you can go through SacramentoFilmFestival.com. Either one of those will get you there, but it's californiafilm.net is the main, and you can, while you're there, sign up to become a member. Basic membership is free.
And that's good because then people can learn about the International Film Festival that you do and all kinds of other
These other
events.
talking about, absolutely, sure, absolutely.
That's so good. It really is. So one last thing about the film festival. I'm really interested because it's an international festival, and you start receiving films January, February, March. How many films do you go through before you pick a group of films?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. I mean, this year, I'll put it to you this way. You mentioned our screenwriting program. So one of the things that the film festival also does is the American Screenwriters Conference, right? This is an adjunct. It's a thing that was started by Lou Hunter, the Dr. Lou Hunter, the amazing Lou Hunter, who's trained more Academy Award-winning screenwriters than anybody on the planet. Well, he and Dawn Spinella, who I was hoping to have on the call today, I think she's still going to be on your title, your graphics. But Dawn Spinella and Lou Hunter have been doing this thing where they're bringing in these screenwriters. Just in the screenplays alone, to your question, this year we got over 300 screenplays submitted.
Amazing.
Over 300 screenplays submitted just this year alone.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's amazing. So, I mean, there's Vince again. Hey, Vince, I was talking about you while you were gone. But long story short is I
can see and hear you guys.
And we got about one more minute, guys. So I just have to say thank you both for coming on and talking. And we'll fix whatever glitch you got there, Vinny, we will fix for next time.
I'm going over to your house and I'm going to help you out with that video, man. We're going to get you straight by next week because we're going to need that. We're going to need you on there.
All right.
So don't worry, I'll wear my full aqua lung and gas mask and the whole nine.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody.
It's all good.
And we're going to sign off here. And thanks everybody for tuning in the program. All right, you guys. TV works. Film's better.
Thanks, Ray. Appreciate you. Thanks, you brother. That it?
Oh, that's it. We did it.